Welcome to Port Erin on the Isle of Man for the 2026 Manx National Rally, round 2 of the Protyre Motorsport UK Asphalt Rally Championship. We start with some very sad news. The organisers and Motorsport UK have put out a statement online, so by now you will probably have seen that after a medical incident in the Starvey stage this morning, very sadly, Daryl Taylor has passed away. Co-driver Martin Brady is physically unharmed. As a mark of respect to Daryl, the Starvey stage, stage 5, did not run later today. Out of respect for Daryl's family and the team who have requested privacy at this difficult time, we won't be saying anything more right now, but there will be plenty of time for tributes in the days that follow. Please understand that's all we'll be talking about on this live coverage about the incident tonight. The cars have been reseeded for this evening's stages, and they have done stage 6. And in a bit of a change around from the last few stages, Niall McConaughey, our first Protyre Motorsport UK Asphalt Rally Championship registered driver with Keelan McKenna alongside, has actually come out of the blocks quicker by just over a second from Ryan Loughran, and Rob Fagg, the local co-driver, guiding the Irishman around on his first Manx to great effect. And you're going to see the cars reseeded in the order in which they have finished competition in the first leg this morning. The same will be true in the morning when we go live with you for day 2 of the Manx National Rally. Carl McCarthy, Eric Calnan also have a time in. Not quite as quick though, third quickest in stage 6 with Jason Pritchard and Phil Clark. They are 6th overall coming into this 7th stage of the rally. 22 stages in total, 130 stage miles, 170 competitors starting the Manx National Rally, the biggest rally for over 60 years since the island started hosting closed road rallying, and a real all-star entry. David Wright, Jane Nichol in 4th place behind Carl McCarthy and Eric Calnan. They've had a fast morning so far. Their fastest stage was the first one of the day when they were 3rd overall out of the blocks. Quickest was a good strategy. It's given them a good place to be in coming into this phase of the event. Hugh Hunter, Andy Marchbank again probably wondering if they should have registered for championship points. 5th overall ahead of the Irish Rally 2 of Jason Pritchard and Phil Clark. The fastest of our championship two-wheel drive crews, Lee Edwards, Sam Spencer, once again on fine form like they were on the East Riding stages in Yorkshire to kick the championship off back in February, that Escort G3. And the crew have lost none of their sparkle, and they have been shining on the Manx lanes. But they haven't quite had it all their own way as far as the two-wheel drive battle is concerned. Unfortunately, though, it had to be Gordon and Montana Morrison keeping them honest, because Hugh James and Lewis Sim have retired with the rear diff cradle failing on the Fiat 131. I know you're all as gutted as we are, but Adrian Hetherington will be keeping us in 131 Fettle on the stages. We will see one of those Fiat Mirafioris out in action this evening. Interesting stage layout here in Port Erin, a little different from the last time we ran it, probably over 10 years ago. Certainly well over 10 years ago since I was last here to run a stage. The cars are going to come down from where you can see right now. They're actually on the start line as we speak. We can hear the engines warming up, and they're going to come into the view. We've got a really good camera angle. They're going to come directly towards you, and the spot lamps are going to be on for the later crews as we start to lose the light. They're going to hairpin right in front of you here, and there's plenty of room. So it's a very rare opportunity for a rally driver to really grab hold of that handbrake and give it a good old hoon. There's plenty of spectators behind us as well at the road closure where all the hay bales, or straw bales, I keep getting told off for calling them hay bales. I've called them that for my entire life, but they are straw bales, aren't they? They were hay bales one time a day. And then they're going to go 90 left out of view and past the Tesco supermarket and off down towards the coastal road here at Port Erin. It's only a short, sharp stage, this one. It's it's more for entertainment purposes. And back in the day, the drivers used to call these stages Mickey Mouse stages, didn't they? But, you know, drivers these days appreciate the significance of them and the importance as well. Well over £2 million worth of inward investment coming over to the Isle of Man with the Manx National Rally this weekend. And stages like this in the town centre are ultra important for unlocking that investment and for introducing new fans to the sport and showing locals, you know, why they've been so patient and why they've supported the event with all the road closures and the other logistics that come with it. So good to see all the spectators out enjoying themselves tonight, and plenty of people watching during the day along the stages as well, which has been great to see. 1.88 miles each run of this stage, to be exact, and it's going to be thick and fast. It is going to be like wacky races later on. You've seen this before, because after, I think is it 11 or 12 minutes, Wayne, the second run of the stage, the cars will feed back into the start queue and they will come around at 30-second intervals at that point. So the first 11, 12 cars will come through at minute intervals, and after that, all being well, we had some 3-minute intervals earlier, didn't we? I know that was painful for you all, having to listen to me, Phil. But at least we found Warren Philliskirk, didn't we? Spectating, we were able to bring you some stories of the old days of the Manx inside that Group B Metro 6R4, which was really nice, actually. I'm pleased that we did that, and I know from your feedback, you all enjoyed hearing some of Warren's stories as well. So it should be very action-packed, and I know this isn't the most scenic view the Isle of Man is known for. Incredible vistas, and some of the stage shots that we get are just incredible. I know this is not one of those, but it is an ultra important stage to bring you, and I think you're going to see some good action down here. We'll certainly see plenty of skids, and you can mark the handbrake turns out of 10 if you like. Get some scores going on underneath the live coverage. Remember, do let us know where you're watching from. If you're here on the Isle of Man watching with us on one of the other stages, hello to you. And if you are a local, you have a very beautiful island, and we're delighted to be here. It's one of our favourite places to come. It has been. I've been coming here for 18 years. Bought my first rally car from Redgeberry at Erin House in Port St Mary, and I've been coming ever since. It's a very special place. So, Sadu Qualian was the stage before, stage 6. It was a long one as well. 13.3 miles for the crews to get their teeth stuck into. The first one after service with Starvey not being run for the reasons I mentioned earlier. After this, 2 runs of Port Erin, the crews head off to Blackboards as they ran this morning, a 5.08 mile stage, and then they finished the day with an almost 8 mile stage through Airy. The rally has a bit of a different look, feel and dynamic for the competitors this weekend, with the service area and the rally base, including the finish tomorrow afternoon, being in the north of the island at Andreas, at the airfield up there. And the organisers have had to work very hard to put the infrastructure in and to build that from scratch, having always used the TT grandstand in Douglas. But as far as the stages go, particularly having this Port Erin stage back on the schedule, it's Manx rally business as usual, really. And it's been great to get back out here and see the action and some of the classic stages. We're going to be in the Baldwin stage, both running of that stage tomorrow. So we'll be at Brandywell Cottage, of course, and we'll have some lovely action for you around that and the Druidale stage. We're going to be live from 5 to 10 tomorrow morning, so join us for breakfast, and then that's stage 13, and the stage 19 is at 20 to 2, 13:40 in the afternoon, so join us for lunch as well. That is your Saturday sorted right here on special stage, courtesy of our sponsors Protyre in the Motorsport UK Asphalt Rally Championship. The hunt for, and indeed the fight to become the fastest asphalt rally driver in the UK is on. This is round 2. And here's the Manx National Rally. We're just moments away from getting our first car into the stage. It will be our rally leader. I see, yeah, you're going to have a rare treat. You're going to see Peter Duke in the Zero car. We're not normally on time for the, or we don't normally go live before the course car, because there's usually quite a big gap beforehand and after. But because this is such a short stage, you're going to see the Peugeot 205 through, which is quite nice. I quite like getting the course car in, because, you know, they're part of the volunteer operation, and it's nice to give them a bit of airtime. So Peter Duke, one of the, well, the guy in charge at Duke motorsport video, isn't he? Big name on the island. Big motorsport family as well. We'll see a bit of showboating from him on local roads before Ryan Loughran and local man Rob Fagg take to the Asphalt to continue their day one adventure. The marshals have closed the door on the course car. You're going to see the red/orange Peugeot. We were arguing about the colour earlier. I thought it was green. Wayne couldn't even remember. Turns out it's red. So I told you we need to focus more on the course car. And I promised to join you on the live coverage. Martin McGarry is cheering on the Constantine brothers. I will bring you some class results as well as we go into this stage. Kev Murphy's watching in Sunny Bunny, wherever that is. Hello to Henry Kinwill. Good to have you with us, buddy. Hope your mini rally adventure's going well. Certainly looks to be. Peter Ellaby is hoping to see the classic minis. You'll see plenty of those. What was nice earlier, there was a ripple of impromptu applause from the spectators gathered at Junction 4 in Stage 2, where we were earlier, every time a mini went past, and that included the Wolsey Hornet as well, which was nice. Nice to include them. Jackie Wilding's watching from Wales, cheering on Mike Pugsley. Lynn McDonald's watching from Aberdeenshire. Hope you've all had nice sunny weather like we've had here on the Isle of Man so far. Robert Nutter's watching along. Team Nutter watching from the garage, and no doubt wishing they were on the stages. The good news for those who heard my ramblings earlier about the Talbot Sunbeam is that that S2000 Honda engined Talbot looks like it is sorted. Kev Bolver, who has been building that car for years now and has been nagged by his other half, Julia Perry, to get it out and go rallying, is debuting the car on the Manx stages, but he hasn't, I don't think, yet, unless he's heading for is he heading for the 6th stage? I don't know if we can see on the tracker actually, but anyway, we should be seeing Kev Bolver and Julia Perry out, which is great news. Andy Murphy says, thanks for the coverage, chaps. When does Andy Davison start work on his stage end interviews? I said to Wayne earlier, Wayne, I asked you if you'd done any weirdos apply, and you said no, not yet. Sounds like you have. Be entertaining though, wouldn't it? You may have seen that we were just putting a feelers out for our pool of talent, if you want to call it that, for both on-screen, on-comms and tech op and camera roles as well, because we obviously have a lot of events to cover during the year, and it's always good to know who's out there and to get people up to speed with the equipment and the format, so that if you are lucky enough to work with us, and we can call on you when needed. So if you look on the special stage social media, you will see that. And get involved if you so wish and think you've got the right experience. Hello to Tom Stockdale and Ayrton. Nearly all loaded for the Lincoln Green fullback stages this weekend. Enjoying the coverage. Good luck, guys. I saw the picture of the cars being worked on outside the garage earlier. Hope it goes well. They'll be getting those minis to tow you off tomorrow. Jamie McBain's over here with us on the Isle of Man. Alien Forest watching from Aberdeenshire. Sad news tonight and condolences to all. Yeah, echo that. Julie Harris watching Kate Pendry and Fred Harris. I think I should say watching with, I think. George Brown is watching from Tom's Cottage. Is that any particular Tom, or is that a place? I wonder. Gary Massey's parked up in his camper van on the Yorkshire Moors, the Gale Rig, where he marshals on all the rallies run there. He's going to watch live rallying, even if he can't get out to marshal this weekend. Good on you. Good to have you with us. Cathal Sharkey watching from Donegal as well. Plenty of Irish drivers over here doing the business. Rob and Teresa in the 106 watching from service. Until we get to you later, due out at 10 to 9. It's not that far from now, Rob. Good luck in stage 6. Luke Taylor's watching from Pembrokeshire in Wales. Fionn Ryan watching from Cork, cheering on Gary Healy, Niall Myers in the green Civic. They went well earlier. There was a couple of Civics really pushing very hard and almost getting it all squiffy, weren't there, in stage 2. That was an interesting one. Yeah, good to have you all with us. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll have the cars into the stage in just a moment. We thought we would go live early enough just to give you a feel for things. And of course, we needed to speak on behalf of the organisers at the beginning of that. First of the historic crews over from West Wales, Steph Davies, Michael Gilby alongside, currently in 18th overall in that white Shale Oils Mark II. Quite a few BMW M3s on this event as well. The fastest of those is the fastest two-wheel drive car overall on the rally, not registered for championship points. Remember, we are bringing you action from all of the crews on this year's Manx National Rally, as we always do, thanks to our sponsors who, like us, want you to get a full feel of the event and to see the whole story unfold. But our focus is going to be on the Protyre Motorsport UK Asphalt Rally Championship registered crews. The course car has fired up. You're going to see action in just a moment. But Martin McCormack and Barney Mitchell are 7th overall, actually a couple of places ahead of our leading two-wheel drive Protyre crew, Lee Edwards and Sam Spencer. They're split by Ian Forgan and Chris Lees, who have had a very good run indeed. A reminder that Hugh James and Lewis Sim will not take part any further. They are on the boat on the way home, but they will be getting that car ready for the Jim Clark in a couple of weeks' time. Another iconic event, and another reason that this is arguably the best championship in the UK. Certainly one of, and it's the top asphalt championship without question, isn't it? Sam Touzle didn't start the event. The logistics of getting the recce car sorted and a few other bits and pieces required meant that he didn't make the boat. So our championship leader needs to come back fighting on the Jim Clark, and you can bet he will. Our reigning champion, with Max Freeman, reigning champion co-driver alongside. Can't wait to see them back doing battle in the championship. For now, though, it is a chance for others to get some points on the board, some much needed points in the case of, for example, Jason Pritchard, 3-time Asphalt Rally champion in a Focus WRC. He's here in his Yaris Rally 2, having had it reshelled. We haven't seen him since the Argyle Rally in 2025 on the Scottish Peninsula. It's great to see him back, and he's got up to speed very quickly indeed. Needs some points on the board, so that's a good job. Brad Cole, Jamie Vaughan doing a good job so far. They come here 4th in the overall standings in the championship. Ian Forgan, though, mentioned him, was only a second behind Brad Cole at the East Riding stages, and that battle looking like it will continue into the rest of the Manx National Rally. Ian Forgan at the moment ahead in that battle. Lee Edwards, though, comes here 3rd in the championship after that startling performance on the Yorkshire lanes. And there is Peter Duke in the Zero car. I told you it was orange, Wayne. Red. The man's colourblind. Spot lamps bolted on for the stages later on. Blackboards and Airy to finish off the day. Peter might not need those spot lamps, but the pod looks great, and it's any excuse to get it on and see that spot lamp pod down the bottom of the bonnet when you're sat in that seat strapped in. But you will see spot lamps ablaze later on, and the atmosphere will be upped as the light fades and the spot lamps come on. The street lamps will provide a dim glow, and it will look quite heady. And I think those images will probably make it into the intro shots for the special stage shows in future. That's usually what happens with town centre stages, because they're usually a bit of a spectacle, aren't they? (2022) Asphalt champion Steve Wood with Kenny Hull alongside have switched to the Polo R5 for this season. They sit 22nd overall, having had a bit of a rough start to their campaign in the new car. Just getting used to things there. Will Rowlands, Emir Hall on their heels behind. Less than 4 seconds. Sorry, just over 4 seconds behind them, actually. Almost 30 years since the the Roberts crew, the Roberts Motorsport crew, were on the Isle of Man. We'll get to that when Ewan Roberts Jr. comes through, actually, in the second of the Escort G3s, but nice story playing out there. You know what, I thought Ryan had started the stage in a quite slow fashion there. Right, you're about to see car 5 reseeded from the results after leg 1 this morning, fired into this town centre stage to entertain the crowds here in Port Erin. Ryan Loughran, local man Rob Fagg will be enjoying this run at the head of the pack, I'm sure, and will feel like he's added some value in that co-driver's seat this weekend. We talk about local knowledge, but no one knows the Manx lanes better than a Manxman or a Manx woman, and there's a few of those out guiding our drivers around into the evening tonight. It's going to be a long night. Some of the crews will not be finished until the early hours back at the service area in Andreas. We'll be live till probably around 11 o'clock, something like that, I think. Long night for us as well, but an exciting one at that. And I've been looking forward to this all day. Not the most technical of stages, not the most sophisticated of rally stages, but a spectacle and a bit of theatre. Nice little battle between Roger Duckworth, Ian Windrus, John Stone and Rhys Stoneman in the Fiesta R5 in the Legend Performance Polo R5 GTI, sitting in 14th and 15th respectively. Two guys that used to compete for overall honours when we were doing this a lot of years ago. And that is car number 5. Nice nip of the handbrake. Nicely done in that Fabia RS Rally 2. Very small contingent of Fabias on this year's rally. In fact, the only one. There were meant to be 2, weren't there? Gary Lees not making it out, a non-starter here. Niall McConigal, Keelan McKenna, our leading Protyre crew at this stage. Second in the Protyre leaderboard, David Wright, Jane Nichol. In 4th overall. 3rd, Jason Pritchard, Phil Clark. In 6th overall. Carl McCarthy is nice and neat around there. Interesting sounding overrun exhaust note on that Citroen C3 Rally 2. The car that Steve Wood and Kenny Hull were competing in until this season. I believe they're still in the Crozier Motorsport stable in their new Polo R5. There is David Wright and Jane Nichol. That is why we brought you to Port Erin, to the town centre. That is the sort of showboating we were hoping to see tonight. It might not be the quickest way around that hairpin. It might be, who knows? Let's see when the stage time drops in. But do you know what? That is what the spectators are here to see. I can smell hot rubber, I can smell brakes, and they're only one corner into a 1.8 mile town centre stage. Hugh Hunter, Andy Marchbank. A bit neater from Hugh. Didn't fancy getting a close look at the curb on the outside of that hairpin. Fair play, David Wright. He'll be really chuffed with himself. It's always good when you get the handbrake turn right, and there was a little bit of power drifting, power sliding going on there. Producer Wayne's got a grin on his face. It doesn't happen very often. It takes a certain type of driving style to make that happen. And I think we saw that, didn't we? Jason Pritchard and Phil Clark. That Yaris Rally 2 looks incredible in the new GR livery, doesn't it? The North Road Garage pair looking, if they can, to make it a record-breaking 6 victories on the Isle of Man. 5 wins so far. It's an enviable record. Ian Forgan in the Mercury Motorsport Fiesta Rally 2, nice and neat round the hairpin. It's a 2:16.1 for Ryan Loughran and Rob Fagg. 2:16.4 for Niall McConaughey and Keelan McKenna. Lee Edwards and Sam Spencer just getting warmed up. I think Lee was hoping for a bit more from that hairpin there, and I think we'll probably get it on the second run. But you know, you don't want to be throwing it away, getting too leery on these curves, and that Escort G3 will be entertaining out there on the little coastal section at this stage, that is for sure. Rallies.info is where you need to be for the live results coming through. Gordon, Montana Morrison, Ian Parker, nicely done from there. And we haven't had Martin McCormack through yet. Should have been through between Jason Pritchard and Ian Forgan. Had that small incident earlier on, clipping a bank with the front of the BMW, but we haven't had any issues yet. It does sound like we maybe got that BMW on the start line now, doesn't it? Just dropped back on the road order. Nothing to write home about, if so. Missing a couple of the Class 1 cars though, Ryan Burns and Brian O'Neill before Gordon Morrison there. You look down the entry list and you've got a list of cars that you are looking forward to seeing through this stage. That does sound like a BMW M3 to me, does it to you? Nicely done. From the man who leads the British Historic Cruise at this stage in that BMW M3 that we first saw in action on the Roger Albert Clark Rally in November last year. Some machine and some driver is just developing that car for the team over in Belgium who come over to run it every time. The decorations on the floor here looking somewhat like a spirograph, if you remember those. It is some spectacle. You can probably hear my smile from wherever you are, because it's just a fantastic thing to see, and closest fans will ever get to a rally car safely is in a town centre. And for that, I love these stages. Brian O'Neill, Richard clearly just overcooking it a little bit on the hairpin. That happens. It's all part of the showboating experience. We can forgive a little bit of over-exuberance. Just want to keep the cars off the curbs tonight. That would be nice. Ryan Loughran, Rob Fagg then quickest through here still. And Niall McConaughey, Keelan McKenna, the first of our Protyre crews on the overall leaderboard. Second quickest at the moment with a 2:16.4.3 of a second behind the Skoda. Third quickest, David Wright, Jane Nicol. So that hairpin approach was pretty fast, wasn't it? Carl McCarthy, Eric Carnan in the Citroen. Fourth quickest so far. Ryan Burns, James Morgan alongside, swapping his seat in the Castrol Yaris Rally 2 alongside Ocean Price to join Ryan here on the Manx National Rally. Good action so far, though. I think you will agree. Does sound like Ryan Burns has maybe stalled it down at the second part of the stage. We just sort of got back to another part of the stage, and a few of the spectators gasped a little bit just then. So I've got a feeling something maybe went on, but sounds like he's fired it back up. Do you know what? You won't hear any criticism from me if drivers get it wrong on these hairpins. We love to see them having a go. And so far, nobody is disappointed, have they? Here we go. Absolutely wonderful. Alan Morgan's Jack Bowen swapping a Mark II Escort for a Fiesta Rally 2 and still trying to drive it like a Mark II Escort. A lot of time for that. Enjoying himself in that Aberystwyth Motorsport Fiesta Rally 2, part of the PB engineering team this weekend. We've got a 4-strong car team in that service area and will no doubt be watching in service, so hello to you guys. Hope you're having a lovely evening watching these skids in Port Erin. It's good to be back here, and it's good to see this action because we haven't seen it for some time. And although the closed roads out with those lovely views are what makes the Manx Rally, this is great entertainment, isn't it? John Stone. Now, John, you may remember a little while ago, probably about 15 years ago, there's a little video clip of John Stone and I discussing his approach to hairpins and chicanes in the service area. Now, I can't repeat what John says in that video, but it wasn't going that well for him. But I'll tell you what, that went very well, didn't it? Nicely done from the Legend Performance crew. Rhys Stoneman alongside. It's just going to be a night of rally drivers sending it this, which we thought you might like. Bit of an interlude to the more serious stages that we're bringing you this weekend, of course. I'll get back to the results in a sec. Roger Duckworth now into the stage, or on the start line. There he goes. Nicely done. You can spot the experience a mile off on these technical parts of the stage. And actually, unless you do a lot of testing, you're not used to throwing these cars around. And even if you went to a track day or something in a car to get used to it, you wouldn't be able to drift them around and get used to driving like this. So, experience does show. And you can tell those that are very comfortable in the car. Forgive me if I sound like I'm overthinking it a little bit. I do like to picture myself strapped in and grabbing hold of the handbrake and getting my foot buried back on that throttle, ready to pick it back up and drift the car out of the hairpin. You'll be wanting some times. We'll have them for you in a moment. Wayne Sisson here. Yeah, did what he needed to do, neat and tidy. Wasn't particularly interested in showboating, and that's fine. Wants to get it down the road and get it home, back to service tonight, ready for a big push tomorrow. Currently 16th overall, and as far as the leaderboard goes, it's all pretty tight at that point, so top 20 will be very changeable going into day 2. Nobody wanting to make any mistakes here tonight. 1.8 miles is not a lot to make an awful lot of time up, but it is there is a lot to lose in a short stage like this one, as we so often say. Start to get the crews coming round for their second run of the stage very shortly. Kyle Adam and Stephen Brown almost going full donut and definitely going full send. And there we go, our rally leaders for the second time. Irish rally drivers almost certainly know how to go around hairpins and drift their rally cars around. And Ryan Loughlin is certainly showing that, isn't he? Jason Pritchard, Phil Clark have actually taken the 4th fastest time through here now, usurping Cal McCarthy and Eric Kalman of that position. Steph Davies and Michael Gilby. Nicely done, just stopped it from drifting too wide on the exit there, and Gilby would have been saying, have some fun, boy, but don't push it too hard. Chris Richmond-Hand, running the car in service, will no doubt have said, send it, because that's what he would have done if he was here in the Starlet. I wish he was here in the Starlet, because he'd be having a lot of fun out there, that is for sure. Steve Wood, Kenny Hull had a tricky morning getting used to the car. A lot different from the Citroen C3 Rally 2 that we saw him win the championship in 2022. But we'll be looking to get back on terms going into day 2. Certainly have the experience under his belt as we get there. Now McConigal deciding there that discretion was the better part of valor going into the hairpin the second time. Had a go the first time, didn't fancy it the second time, just wants to get through the second running of the stage now. Maybe got himself a bit too close to one of the curbs and just thought, no, do you know what, I'm gonna get it out into the next stage. I'm not gonna take any silly risks. Love it. Donna Kelly, Rory Kennedy, definitely one of the names, the crew and car combos that I looked down the entry list and thought, yeah, he'll send it. David Wright, Jay Nichols still 3rd fastest through here. It's Carl McCarthy, goes for his 2nd run. Very nicely done indeed. Love the way that Citroen sounds on the overrun. What does that remind me of? Is it a Hyundai Accent WRC that reminds me of on the overrun? It's got a very distinctive sound, doesn't it? Reminds me of something from back in the day, that. Less anti-lag than would have been had with a Hyundai WRC, granted. Oh, there is nothing worse, I feel for him. Michael McDade, Harry Stubbs nailed the hairpin and then the car bogged down afterwards. So frustrating. I felt their pain. It's not easy, this, you know? It's really not easy to do, to get it right. Sure, it's easy to chuck it in. Not quite as Larry there from David Wright and Jane Nichol. I reckon Jane's probably had a word and just said, look, slow it down, or I might stab you in the leg with a pencil. It's usually how it goes. But yeah, looking forward to watching that first time through from David Wright and Jane Nichol back, because that was very Larry indeed. Enjoyed a lot. Will Rowlands, Emir Hall. Neat and tidy. A little bit of sideways, but keeping it fast. A Mark II rear-wheel drive car, you're going to lose a lot of momentum if you get too sideways. The four-wheel drive cars can drift it around and keep momentum with all 4 wheels, throwing the power at the asphalt, and you can see that from the tyre marks on the floor. Very neat from Hugh Hunter and Andy Marchbank. You'll be chuffed with that, especially when he knows that, because we put a message in the championship group to say that the live camera was here at the hairpin, so perhaps maybe inspired a bit of showboating, but would also set alarm bells ringing for anybody who really didn't want to make a fool of themselves in front of the camera and all the people watching at home. Do you know what? No one's going to make a fool of themselves tonight, I can tell you that, because there'll be no judgment from me. This is ever so difficult to get right. And just, you know, to chuck it in like that. Damien Turish, Kevin Duggan, they've had a bit of practice at getting that car turned around after overshooting the junction where we were earlier on this morning, haven't they, in stage 2. Fair play. Just managing to dance the car around on the exit, getting the power down without getting too sideways and chucking it at the curb. Isn't this good fun? It is a fabulous sounding thing, that Yaris Rally 2, isn't it? And it really does look good in that new livery. I did like the grey livery, but Lively Race Graphics have done a proper job of that. I think North Road Garage has been a bit of a staging point for Lively, full stop, getting cars liveried up. The Matthewson's car, Charlie Matthewson's Rally 4 car, also getting done there. Shane Murray, Gary Haight enjoying themselves. Cal McCarthy, Eric Calnan so far second fastest through this second running of the Port Erin stage. Ryan Loughlin and Rob Fagg still fastest and took 4 seconds out of their first time through there. Niall McConigal, Keelan McKenna, third fastest so far. We'll have David Wright, Hugh Hunter, Jason Pritchards, and there is Ian Falcon's times in very shortly to compare. I hope you're having a lot of fun. I hope you're enjoying watching this showboating, because we don't get to see it very often, do we? David Wright, Jane Nichol, third fastest through here. Again, usurping Cal McCarthy and Eric Callan. Oh, they're not actually. They're behind them, aren't they, this time? Yes. Ben and Stephen Smith swinging that pendulum of a Porsche 911 round, and if there's a car that's difficult to get it right in, it must be a Porsche 911 with all that weight in the rear of the car. So fair play, nicely done, and got it stopped and got straight back on the power. I tell you what, it might not have been the most flamboyant, spectacular display from Lee Edwards, who seems to be sideways given every opportunity, but that looked blooming quick from the Escort G3 driver. I'll be interested to see what that time is like if he does that everywhere, because he lost no time there whatsoever, did he? That's probably one of the quickest ways we've seen around that hairpin, actually. It's not what we're here for on the handbrake, are we? But that's okay. Nicely done from George Collister. Janet Crane alongside in the BMW. 25th overall after today's exploits, and should be rightly pleased with that as well. Gordon Morrison, once again, neat and tidy around there. No big risks. Not interested in doing particularly big skids. Just getting it through, and it is actually a really good opportunity while those around you might be showboating, just to make sure you do nail it, actually. Stating the obvious, perhaps, but when you're there and the red mist sets in and you've got a handbrake at your disposal, it's maybe not that obvious, if I'm honest. Steve Simpson, Mark Glenister, and a cheer from the crowd. Get on it, Steve. Great entertainment. Who cares if you stall it, as long as you get it round, hey? The only thing that suffers there is the times, but we can live with that. Niall McConigal, Keelan McKenna dropped to fourth, quickest through this second running of the stage. Nicely done for Marty and Barney there in the BMW. Again, less Larry than the first time through, so they've done their showboating. They mean business now. Ian Forgan, Chris Lees improved through this one, 7th fastest so far. And there, Gordon Cunningham and Stuart McManus in the battle for Class 2 and Class 4 honours this weekend in the Mitsubishi. Neat and tidy from them. Can't quite see from the roofline what car this is, but it sounds wild. Yeah, we'll go with that. Always amazes me that the cars can sound so different when they are the same spec and the same type of car. Brian O'Neill, Richard clearly there. Probably won't be happy inside the car with that one, but it was neat and tidy, wasn't it? And that is how you make sure that anybody driving to work the next morning know exactly what went on here on the tarmac. Ben Hardy, David Radcliffe, nicely done. Sent it in, set the car up, and they knew exactly what they were doing. They had that centre marker on the hairpin, right in the centre of their bonnet as they drifted round the hairpin there. Nicely done. Good stuff from Ryan there as well. Again, neater and more tidy the second time around, and I suppose that's the name of the game. We still want Larry, don't we? But tell you what, John Stone and Rhys Stoneman are second quickest through this second run of the Port Erin stage. I said they look quick. Alan Morgan, again. You forget how little seat time he has had in that Fiesta Rally 2, but he's driving a little less like a Mark II Escort around that second hairpin. Yeah, that's a quick time from John Stone, Rhys Stoneman, a 2:16.3 for them. What am I talking about? That's the first running of the stage, actually. Max Murray, Matty O in there in the Citroën DS3 R3. One of the crews that got a nominal time earlier on after the delays. There we go, Mr. Stone looking to nail it again here. I've lost my place on the times. I've got no idea what I was looking at. I was looking at John Stone. Well, yeah, he was second quickest through the first running through here. So very well done. I said to you, he was neat. Really nailed the handbrake. It's such an art, and very nicely done indeed. David Ewan Jones, Nigel Roberts, one of the historic crews in the Escort. I've never driven one of these R5 or Rally 2 cars, but it's an art in any car to get this right. But with what is going on under that car, it must be so difficult to get everything timed to perfection. And got a lot of respect for anyone who just chucks it in, especially if they maybe don't have the experience to know exactly what's going to happen on the other side of that tweak on the handbrake. Ross Hunter, Chris Dodd's doing a good job there in the Rally 4 Peugeot. Very nicely done, in fact. Andrew Dudgeon and Joseph Dooley taking a neat line around there. What has John Stone managed to do around here? He was second quickest, to remind you, around the first running of the stage just a few moments ago. No timing yet. Brian O'Neill, Richard clearly in ninth, fastest through the second running. Roger Duckworth enjoying himself very clearly. Barry Groundwater's Evo 6 just trundles into view towards the start. It's Dayglow, Marlborough-esque livery lighting up the sky as the light catches it from the Evo 9 a few cars behind as it drives into the start. Declan Jackson, Barry McCartney in the Fiesta Rally 2. And there's Wayne Sisson for a second go around in the Skoda. Michael Hendry alongside. Actually, I forgot that when I said earlier about there being only one Skoda. There's two, isn't there? Older model Fabia R5 there. I'm blaming Sam for pointing the camera at anybody who gets it wrong here, because it's pretty daunting heading towards a live camera and having to get it sideways and get around the hairpin. Isn't that a glorious looking thing? Ashley Will alongside Barry Groundwater in that Evo 6. I do lament that he has taken the last WRC car from the stages here. He could have had a WRC car had he not got that Evo 6, but at least he has that Evo 6. If you're going to replace it with something that we're all going to smile and nod to each other about, do it like that. Oh, nice wide line there. I thought Kyle Adam was going to set us up for a right old show there. He looked like he was going to Scandi it in, didn't he? But didn't quite come to fruition. I think just maybe Stephen Brown was the other side of the car with that pencil sharpened ready. Don't hit the curb, mate. Feel like I should be. There's John Adams and Ocean Joyce. Get a nice, neat exit there in the historic RS 1800. I feel like I should be a bit like a diving competition. I feel like we should be holding boards up to score them on style points. But of course, it's the times that matter, not the style points. So Steve Wood, Kenny Hall in the Polo, neat and tidy, doing what they need to do. Should imagine from the times from today, Steve's not going to be in the mood for showboating tonight. We'll just want to get used to the car and reset and ready to go again for tomorrow. Mike English with Simon Hunter alongside. Yeah, a good old go from him. Enjoyed himself into there, didn't he? The new livery on the car looking particularly smart as well. The pair come into this stage 37th overall, 17th in Class 1 on an entry of 170 cars, and Class 1 cars that go well into the 40s. Not bad going. Steph Davies, Michael Gilby showing the panache that they show week in, week out on the lanes, on the road rallies in West Wales there. Nicely done. Window down so you can really appreciate the moment and soak in that atmosphere and enjoy the tyre smoke coming in from the hairpin as well. An absolutely faultless performance from Donna Kelly both times through there with Rory Kennedy. Just absolutely perfect. Knows exactly what he's doing and points that car and gets it moving exactly where he wants it to move to. I haven't got back to check John Stone's time through there yet, have I? What has he done through there? Luke Constantine, Ivan Divine. Really threw that car in. Doing a great job in that little Corsa. Sixth fastest for John Stone. Rhys Stoneman through the second running of the stage there. Tell you what, again, impeccably judged there from Damien Tourish and Kevin Duggan to just get it round that hairpin without any issue whatsoever. And they were so close to that inside curb on both occasions. That is not luck, that is judgment. Now, if there's one car that must be incredibly difficult to throw into a hairpin and get right with the weight transfer, it will be that Darien of Chris Simmons and Danny Matthews. Perfectly judged and well executed hairpin and car control there. I've got a lot of respect for the talent on show this evening here in Port Erin. You're watching a display of composure and wit, I think. Let's go with wit, shall we? Will Rowlands, Emil Hall have done their showboating for tonight. He's not chucking that Escort at any more curbs. He's going to get to the next couple of stages and be fighting for that historic Cup victory. Comes here, of course, second in the historic Cup. Shane Murray, Gary Haid. Again, nice, neat and tidy from them as well. So the all-important question is, forgetting the style points for just a moment, Ryan Loughran and Rob Fagg taking the quickest time both times through this. Cal McCarthy, Eric Cowland was second quickest through the second running. Third fastest through this second running was David Wright, Jane Nicol. And fourth, Noah Mechanical, Keelan McKenna. So that pair fighting for the Protyre Motorsport UK Asphalt Rally Championship positions at this stage. From second and fourth overall on the overall leaderboard. Jason Pritchard, fifth both times through. Ian Taylor, Louise Lewis in the Evo 9 there. Again, a very difficult car to get right. You've got to be brave. You've got to chuck it in and get the weight transferring to help you round. It's no good driving up to a hairpin like this. You've just got to give it your everything and see what Ben and Stephen Smith can do the second time around. Nicely done, yeah. Ask anybody who's driven a rear-engined car, as I do quite regularly. They are not easy cars to get the weight transfer and the balance right on, especially when it's got as much power as that Porsche. Oliver Davies, Ben Innes doing a good job around there. As we get further into the entry list, we get to the, oh God, do I really have to do a handbrake turns? Because you get to the point where, you know, the drivers really do not have the experience of chucking the cars around like this, and that is difficult. But I'm sure it will be equally entertaining. Steve Simpson was not leaving that one to chance. He had the handbrake pinned as he came into that when he was still in the straight line, so he was making sure that Fiesta was ready to turn, wasn't he? See the tyres smoking with detest as they came into that hairpin there. Nice one, Steve, well done. And there is Adrian Hetherington in probably the most beautiful car you'll see all weekend. Look at it. It's just a monstrous thing to see in asphalt trim, isn't it? And with those big fat rear original spec wheels under the Mirafiori rear arches. He's put plenty of rubber down, I can tell you that, because I can smell it. Gordon Cunningham, Stuart McManus did a good job first time around. No incidents from anybody through here so far, which I'm pleased to report, but plenty of sideways and plenty of showboating and power slides, haven't there? Yes. Nicely done. Alistair Crawford, Tommy Henderson. We should get the rest of the times coming through as well while we're still on air, so we'll be able to give you a flavour of how things end. Ben Hardy, David Radcliffe have been super entertaining both times around this 1.8 mile stage. Really enjoyed watching them through there. Not quite as spectacular the second time around, but you can forgive him for having seen those curves coming at him at a rate of knots the first time and thinking, I might just knock it back ever so slightly for the second run through. Rudy Lancaster taking discretion as the better part of valour through there, which is fine. Rallying is about getting around the course as fast as you can and chucking it in on the handbrake, especially if you clump a curb, is not the fastest way of doing it necessarily, so Rudy can do it however which way he likes. Let's see if he gives it a little yank the second time through. Now he sees how wide it is. Max Murray, Matty Owen. The Manx pair enjoying themselves into there for the second time. Love the new livery on that Manx Citroen. Looks good. Now that is how you do it. It must be an Escort G3 thing, you know. Absolutely brilliant. Well done. Last time the Roberts crew competed on the Isle of Man was in 1998. Ewan Roberts Sr. and John Bont Roberts were familiar faces on the island throughout the 80s and 90s on both the national and the international rallies. Just shy of 30 years later, the Roberts name has returned with Ewan Roberts Jr. behind the wheel. Daniel Jones calling the notes, and do you know what? They've been pretty entertaining out there as well, haven't they? As has local pair George Collister and Janet Crane. Nicely done, guys, in the BMW. Bradley Carroll, Gareth Shaw switching to the Fiesta Rally 2 were a surprise on the entry list in that car. Hell of a thing to get used to, having done the business in a Class 3 Escort here in the Protyre series. I just love, absolutely love the way the cars lurch towards us out of the start. David Ewan Jones, Nigel Roberts there. They were 29th quickest. Ewan Roberts Jr., Dan Jones have actually got a penalty, 4-minute penalty for being early at stage arrival for 7. Brad Cole, I'm hearing, Jamie Vaughan have retired. Not sure what's going on there. As soon as we can get some information from the Trick Motorsport team, I will get that to you. If true, that's really disappointing for them and for us. Sean Kelly, Ben Wild, it's the power steering apparently. Thank you to Craig Smith for that update. Power steering has failed on Brad Cole and Jamie Vaughan's Trick Motorsport Fiesta Rally 2. I am absolutely gutted for the pair. They are star performers here in this championship, and we really wanted to see what they could do here. It is such an unnecessary yet very pleasing amount of noise coming from those 208 Rally 4 cars, isn't it? The Corsa sounds quieter, doesn't it? Luke Constantine's Rally 4 Corsa, which is essentially the same bit of kit. I'm absolutely gutted about Brad. Richard Jordan, Sam Collis, you'd expect them to give it a good old push around there, wouldn't you? So I was just trying to open up the results. It's starting to get cold here. My hands are... Andrew Dutchan, Joseph Dooley doing the business second time around. The fans here, I know you can't see because the camera isn't spinning around quite far enough. They are absolutely living their hands in the air as the cars come around, especially the ones that are getting very leery. It is, I said it earlier on, I've said the word a few times, but I think I'm going to keep saying it a few more times. It is such a spectacle, and I love to see it. First time around for Harry Fox and Kaylee Cannell, another local crew. Lights just starting to dim. We're going to see spotlights on very shortly, I think. The spectators and the people in the flats just above where we are. Big cheer from them. Cheer of encouragement. Declan Jackson, Barry McCartney got it chucked in and got it turned. And it was perfect. They were facing the right way, but just stalled the car. So frustrating for them. Everything else about that was just right. So don't be too hard on yourselves when you watch that back, guys. You got to cheer from the crowd anyway. So one good thing, if you stall the car, you can hear the crowd cheering. No one else has heard it, have they? But it is great to hear everyone enjoying themselves. And behind me, there's a second section of the stage that the spectators can see. So they're running from this bit here to the second bit. There's a bunch of kids that are running from one bit to the other, watching the cars through both ways. And it's certainly good exercise for them. They'll sleep well tonight, I think. Mind you, so will we. It's been a long day. A bumper Manx rally. '63, the very first Manx rally. An incredible 63 years later, here we are. Now I'm told that little Skoda Fabia has a Honda engine in it. I wonder if somebody could possibly confirm. I know one of you confirmed. Ian Chadwick, Liam Foey in the Class 10 Skoda, which I wasn't sure earlier whether it was the old Aaron Newby car. It's not. That Evo 6 just dances around, doesn't it? The headlights on, just picking out bits of the glass frontage on the Heritage Centre, the pink building you see ahead of you in the camera as the car's round the hairpin. As it gets dark and the spotlight's going to be reflected in the frontage of that building, that's going to look pretty cool, isn't it? That, all the hallmarks have been chucked in, and it was Tristan Cooley, Chloe Convery in the Evo 6. Currently 5th in the class, coming into these pair of stages in Port Erin. 56th overall. Yeah, nice, neatly done. Be pleased with that. John Adams, Austin Joyce alongside, second time through in the historic car. Currently 9th in class, 41st overall, going into the second running of this 1.8 mile stage. And that is how you do it, ladies and gentlemen. Michael Harbour, Cameron Dunn, giving us a proper display of what it's really like to get it wrong at the hairpin. A top 10 in class as things stand. That's not the fastest way to do a hairpin, but who cares? We loved it. And the entertainment will be clear for everybody to see tomorrow. Goodness me, Mike English threw that Fiesta Rally 2 in there, didn't he? It was headed towards the Heritage Centre on the outside of the corner there. Nicely gathered together. The tyre marks on the road are going to tell a story in the morning, that is for sure. Great entertainment so far. I'm really pleased we picked this for you. We were a bit unsure, do we do this or do we do, in speech marks, a more serious section of stage? Berwyn Evans, Rhys Edwards almost sent it and then saw the camera and thought better of it. Got it around there, didn't he? And that's fine. Really looking forward to seeing the 131 again. To remind you, if you're just tuning in, the news is that Brad Cole and Jamie Vaughan have retired with power steering issues on the Trick Motorsport Fiesta, which I am absolutely devastated about. What I'm now going to try and do is get Brad Cole to join us tomorrow on the live coverage, which he has done before when he's been stage side after he had his accident on the Manx. Joined us after that. Was it on the Jim Clark he joined us, I think? So that is my mission now. So Brad, if you're listening to this or you were listening to it back later on. Nicely done from Ryan Fagan. Had a messy first night on the rally last year, did Ryan Fagan, so we'll be pleased to get through in that very interesting liveried Fiesta R5 as well, isn't it? He took off 2 of his wheels, smashed them to bits last year. Again, sliding the Darien around nicely, just bogged down a little bit after. It's fine, it's got a flappy paddle gear shift and getting it around and getting the gears right and the clutch right, and it keeps, I think it must be catching the front spoiler on the floor, because I keep thinking, God almighty, that thing's gone off. I keep hearing a big bang every time it goes past us. But look at that. Here, spotlights mounted on the front just like they would have been in its Group A days, the Mitsubishi Galant VR4 of Baz Jordan and Arwell. Just enjoying themselves with a bit of Group A magic. Ian Taylor, Louise Lewis, just making sure that if there's anybody here who didn't know there was a rally going on in town, they will now, with the anti-lag on that Mitsubishi Evo 9. Alex Kerr-Willie, Dan Petrie in the Weaver Motorsport 306 Maxi, swapping his Corsa GSI for that car this season. Neil Weaver gave us a bit of a glimpse at what it could do on the Roger Albert Clark, and now we're getting to see it for real, and what a sight it is as well. Hello to Ryan Connolly, who's watching this from Colorado. I didn't see the rest of the message pop up because it disappeared off my screen too quickly, and I've got the results up. But Ryan, whatever you're doing out there, providing remote assistance for somebody, yeah, you do need to be out here. A wide-arched Puma would go very nicely, wouldn't it? That is just an awesome car, isn't it? Absolutely awesome. Impossible to take a bad photo of a car as beautiful as that. Adrian Hetherington knew exactly what he was doing when he brought an Alitalia Fiat 131 to the party, didn't he? Nicely done from Ben Crum, Ian Beaumont. Luke Constantine did a 2:33.1 round here. Currently second in class in that Corsa Rally 4, 37th overall. They put in some stonking performances in their Opel Adam R2 and got all hallmarks of doing the same again in that Rally 4 car. Tell me you're enjoying yourself without telling me you're enjoying yourself. Alistair Crawford, Tommy Henderson are doing just that. The junior co-driver champion alongside, swapping a seat in a Rally 2 car in Roger Henderson's car for that Mark II this season. Good to see Tommy back out and heading back out for championship points in 2026. Neil Jones, Alan Thomas, using all their road rally experience so far in these Manx lanes today. Some great pictures in Cars and Car Conversions magazine of Neil back in his TR7 days. Back when the Manx Trophy Rally was around at the Motoring News Championship, no less. There we go, I told you Rudy Lancaster would have a go, second time around. Rudry Nash says it was Aaron Newby's Fiesta from 2014 season. I thought it was. The 2012 season, sorry, not 2014. Yeah, I thought it was. There aren't many of them around. They didn't have many back in the day competing over here in the UK, did they, in R2 spec, so. Nice to see James Hall, Laura Marshall out in the Subaru. I know they've had plenty of issues in the car, getting it running, keeping it going, and had to beg, steal and borrow parts from the off, so that's fine. You nailed the hairpin, you stalled it afterwards, we can live with that. See, James will be really cross with himself that he stalled it, but he nailed the hairpin, so who cares? We enjoyed it all the same. The action here in Port Erin and your reaction to it watching on the live stream is just brilliant. Got a love a Peugeot 306 on the stage, right? Hello to Team Spark, those who are not over here on the Isle of Man are watching from home and wishing they were here. Stephen just sent me a message saying they're all watching, looking forward to seeing Tom and Sue Hine through in the R53 Mini on live TV tonight. Well, that orange livery will certainly light up the stage here, won't it? Bradley Carroll will probably be practicing his handbrake turns in that Rally 2 Fiesta after this weekend. But as I said earlier, these are not easy cars to drive, and they're certainly not easy cars to chuck in when you're brand new to it, having had a Mark II Escort. He would have done this hairpin with aplomb in those days in the Mark II, so we'll just take a bit of time to get himself used to that. Tom Constantine in the Opel Adamar 2. Getting it round nicely as well. The bumper pods on those Opel Adamar 2s make them almost a third longer again, don't they? Because of that squat. They look great as well. Proper bumper pod lamps. Just epic. Why would you put anything else on? I know they can get knocked off easily if you hit a fence post or something. But Tom doesn't have to worry about that. Tony Walker alongside in the Opel Adamar 2. Okay, so Ryan Connolly is providing remote assistance for Mike English. How's he getting on? He's getting on really well, actually, and most importantly, absolutely chucked it into the hairpin here, as did Gary Healy and Niall Myers as well. Fair play, guys. That was nicely done in the little Honda Civic. The Irish pair with quite a bit of home support, looking at your comments on the live stream this evening. I love that you guys are enjoying this as much as I am. Richard Jordan and Sam Collis giving us something to smile about in that car prep Mark II. Wow, nicely done. Yeah, very nicely done indeed, and lovely camera work from Sam as well. As hard as it is to handbrake a car around a hairpin, it's difficult to get the car full motion as well, especially when they go off at different lines around the hairpin. So doing a great job there, Sam, and it's all looking pretty good, as you are confirming. Gary Yeomans, Carl Edwards gathering it up. Shane Smith's asking, has the yellow Honda Civic of Joe Merrill's come through yet? No, it hasn't come through yet. We expect them to be leery if stage 2 is anything to go by. Dale Proud is enjoying the section for the videoing tonight. Yeah, it's a good place to be. It's, let's call it a little bit of light entertainment compared to the more serious work the rest of the rally has in store for our crews, but it's nice to be here watching this. Lee Davison Bush will be watching Andrew Bush come through here. I presume you mean Andrew Bush. Go Bushy. We, James and I, watching at home. Yeah, he's going to be entertaining through here as well. Naomi Wilding's watching from a cruise ship on the English Channel. That sounds fun. Yeah, nicely done. Jack Edwards, Adam Burkill bouncing the Nova around there and managing to gather it together and stop it from stalling. Just bogged down a little bit there. It's not, I said earlier, there's nothing worse when you've got perfect handbrake turn, then it either stalls or bogged down. You go from hero to zero in a matter of seconds in your head and spend the rest of the stage chowing at yourself for it. So yeah, Ian Chadwick, Liam Foley, apparently that is the Aaron Newby car from 2012. It had the, was it Muller Wiseman dairies that it had on it? It certainly was dressed like a cow. I seem to remember the livery was like a cow. Back in the BRC days when Aaron had stepped up from the juniors. There's a lovely sunset across the harbour. We can't show you it because we're busy watching handbrake turns in the town centre, but the weather has been very kind to us today, although it's getting a little nippy out here now. The sky is bright pink, purple and red. It's on fire over the harbour here at Port Erin on the south of the Isle of Man. And it looks beautiful between the trees. Oh, I tell you what, that is hot into there. Twice now, Tristan Cooley and Chloe Convery have thrown that Evo 6 in, and it didn't look like they were even planning on stopping and getting it round, but they did a good job there. Yeah, it stalled the car, but that's fine. But it scared themselves, I would have done. Had a question, have Martin McCormack, Barney Mitchell been through for a second time in the BMW? They have, yeah, they posted the time both ways through. It's not showing away results, but they have been through. Guy Gladwin enjoyed Mickey Harbour's donut. So do we. There's Tom and Sue Hyand in the Spark Developments R53 Mini Cooper S. Neat and tidy from Tom and Sue. They haven't been to the Woodford School of R53 mini handbrake turns, but then you've seen what happens when that goes wrong, so you can forgive them. But nice nippy car to just chuck around the hairpin and not worry about getting it sideways. What's the point, I suppose? Maybe they will on the second time round. Michael Harbour has really entertained quite a few of you on there. Julie Collis says, we saw the cheeky thumbs up. I missed the cheeky thumbs up. Is that from Sam Collis? Oh, gutted. Caitlin Bolver-Day says, can't wait for Dad Kev Bolver to come through. Now he's back running. Thanks for confirming that, Caitlin. I'm delighted that he and Julia have got that Sunbeam running. Can't wait to see them through and get their moment on the live cameras. That was nicely done from Gary Lyons and Ashley Rhea there, wasn't it? Caitlin herself, a road rally driver over in Wales in her Focus. Andrew Shufflebottom is in the hot tub with the soundbar on full with the Jack Daniels. That sounds ace. Charlotte Wainwright, nice one. Tom and Sue, she says. One of the Mini Rally Challenge competitors. Charlotte watching from home, wishing she was here, she said to me earlier. Berwyn Evans, Rhys Edwards, making mincemeat of the hairpin here in Port Erin. Simon Carswell is enjoying this sport. Did I see the link you sent me for the OMP retro gloves? I didn't see the link for the retro OMP gloves. Please send me it again. But I have to say, and that was nicely done, by the way, wasn't it, from Russell Addyman and Kev Wilson. I must say, it's the Sparco Profi 2 gloves that I'm looking for in red. I know Jason Minshaw thought he might have some from Demon Tweaks. He was going to have a look at home. He thought he might have a pair, but they were black, which I'll take. But red Profi 2 or even Grand Prix GP gloves. If anyone has got a pair or knows where I can get a pair, I would be most grateful. Ryan Fagan, Jordan joins in the Fiesta R5. Another crew getting through this short, sharp stage with no issues whatsoever. Remember Brad Cole or any of the Trick Motorsport team, if you're listening, I want Brad on comms with me tomorrow. You can come and do the live stream with me and we'll chat rally cars all day and cheer him up. What is that about? That was brilliant from Ian Pritchard and Dylan Richards. Nicely done. Just kept her spinning, didn't he? Well done, Ian. Enjoyed that. Bass and Harwell just about managing to get through without putting their spot lamps on. They don't want to waste any of that Group A power on additional lighting, do they, by the looks of things? Buzz Jordan, Noah Jenkins come here as the reigning overall British Historic Rally champions in that Group A car. An era where Group A cars have suddenly come back to the fore as Andrew Bush, Geraldine McBride get that Chevette drifted around the hairpin and spit some flames out on the 90 left past the library just for good measure. Yeah, most of us were looking forward to the Group A cars coming back out into action. There were a few concerned and furrowed brows, but I don't think it's been too bad, has it? I did think we'd have street lamps on, but clearly the council is saving a bit of money. Alex Kirkwilly, Dan Petrie saving a bit of money on rear tyres there as well. That is a wide old thing to be chucking at those curbs, though, isn't it? So they chucked it around the first one, so we'll forgive them a a steadier run through the second hairpin here. Stefan Davies took a 20th fastest time through the second run through this stage. Now we're getting to the BMW Compact, so you're going to see some action. The spectators loving that all. Cheers for Gareth Price and Liam Evans in the BMW. They won't feel much like cheering inside the car, but they're entertaining the spectators. We like a bit of ambition at a hairpin, and that has definitely got ambition written all over it. Ben Crump in Beaumont, neat and tidy from them for the second run through as well. I did think the street lamps would come on, but we don't seem to be getting street lamps to help with the lighting here. The street lamps don't look to be on in any part of town, actually. Ah, there we go. Right on cue, somebody was listening. The council obviously listening to the live stream here on Special Stage. Not sure it's done much for the for your viewing pleasure, but they're on all the same. Andy Gray, Kim Gray alongside in the 205, gathering it up, chucking it in and gathering it up. That's how you do a hairpin. Nicely done. Still plenty of light for you guys watching at home, though. You can see the tyre smoke, and that's the main thing. Look at that. Neil Jones, Alan Thomas. Took a bit of a while to come round for the second one, actually, that pair, didn't they? Tell you what, Howell Davies is someone I'm looking forward to seeing through here. He was wild earlier on. Brian Loughran and Rob Fagg, who lead this rally overall, have taken 6 out of 8 fastest stage times so far today, including both runs through this Port Erin stage. The Irishman on his first visit to the Isle of Man showing just how important perhaps it is to have that local knowledge alongside you on a rally as specialist as this. Bless him, James Hall. After entertaining us so well and getting the car turned in and flicked into the hairpin on the last way round, I think Laura Marshall just said to him, don't. Just drive it. Just drive it. Plenty of room to do that. So it is getting cold here. All of a sudden it just drops. Now, I was wondering when we'd start getting people doing that. It's actually quite a clever way to drive the hairpin now, is to go as wide as you can, like Gary Oller and Sean Rowlands did there, and take a real racing line, take the Monaco Grand Prix line round the hairpin. Nicely done. Marshall Kennedy, Davey Young in the, believe it or not, historic spec Peugeot 306 S16. Yes, you did hear that right. A 238.6 from them last time through this 1.8 mile stage. Probably been neglecting my duties a little bit because we have got some times through from the next stage. Getting so carried away was I with the hairpins. The Blackboards stage, second running of that stage, the 5-miler that follows this Port Erin stage is now underway. Oh, three-wheeling into the hairpin there from Tom Constantine. And Ryan Loughran and Rob Fagg have taken the fastest time there as well. They are on an absolute charge. A 4:15.8, second fastest, a 4:18.1 from Cal McCarthy and Eric Callan, also on a charge here in the Citroen. Third fastest through there, Niall McConaughey, Keelan McKenna. They want those maximum Protyre championship points, don't they? Nicely done from David Mills and Harvey Roberts, styling it out and doing a full donut. We like that. Yeah, you can get it wrong all day long for me if you do that. I'm quite happy with that. Bit of a more sensible line through there for Gary Healy and Niall Myers in the Civic. Had their fun on run 1 and run 2. They wanted it to be serious, clearly. So the top 3 really settling into a rhythm here then as we head towards the end of the penultimate stage here on day 1 of the Manx National Rally. It's now just become a car cruise, hasn't it? It's everyone's just become delirious, and Gareth Wynne-Jones, Ryan Griffiths styling it out as well. Maybe they saw the tyre smoke and thought maybe they had to do that. Should stick a barrel out here, actually. Quite a few of them would be doing a good job of doing a donut round there, like on a Targa rally, wouldn't they? Fourth fastest then, Jason Pritchard, Phil Clark. They're starting to find the rhythm, aren't they, in that Yaris Rally 2. Currently 6th overall, 5th fastest through that 9th stage, the blackboard stage. David Wright, Jane Nicol, pace backing off ever so slightly, but they've had a fast day, starting the day with 3rd fastest on the opening stage, and they've been around about 4th or 5th fastest right through the day before that 3rd place through the 1st or 2nd running of the Port Erin stage, but 5th fastest through stage 9 for the pair. 6th fastest through there, Hugh Hunter, Andy Marchbank, and a fast weekend so far from those guys as well. Currently sitting in 5th overall, heading towards that final stage, the Airy stage. I hate seeing retired next to Brad Cole and Jamie Vaughan, absolutely gutted. But 7th fastest through that penultimate stage, and indeed 7th fastest, 7th overall at the moment, Ian Forgan and Chris Lees. A solid day for them. I think they'll be pleased with their efforts today. Just sneaking inside a top 10 fastest time in that stage 9 blackboards stage for Allard, Wyn Morgans and Jack Bowen. From stage 3 onwards, have been around that back end of the top 10 times. David Crane in that Escort Cosworth with the popping and banging on the anti-lag on the overrun. Love that. Escort Cosworth, not the sort of car I would have expected to be drifting around this hairpin, really. But you know, I love to see them out. Need more Escort Cosworths on the Isle of Man. Whale tails for the win. Slight delay at the start line, which leaves silence in the air. First time we've had silence for a little while now, isn't it? Seems strange to hear yourself think after cars thick and fast through this town centre stage. The fans still out in force. I know we can't spin the camera around enough to show you the crowd behind the hairpin here, but everyone's been enjoying the action. That is for sure. Have you been enjoying the action is the question. Hello to Vicky and the kids who are watching this at home. I know they will have been enjoying the action tonight. I'm pleased that they were able to tune in, because this is something special. The last time we did the Port Erin stage was the year that Cole was born, and he wouldn't have been born before we did it, because it would have been the Manx National, not the Chris Kelly that year. So yeah, first time you'll have seen a Port Erin stage. That's quite crazy when you think about it like that, isn't it? That was absolutely brilliant. Steve Lawrence, Terry Martin, take a bow in that Honda Civic EP9. Is it EP9? I think it's EP9, isn't it, that model of Civic? Fantastic job. I said earlier that part of this is about being brave enough to carry your speed through and just throw the car in, and he certainly was doing that. A relatively heavy car, the Civic as well. Tom and Sue Hines showing experience there. They know just how to get that mini round. It's a noisy little thing that you can hear the supercharger whining on that Spark Developments R53. Shake the car down at Cadwell Park a couple of weeks ago. It was good to see them out for the first time in the car, and here they are, currently 13th in class, 67th overall coming into this 8th stage of the day. Ashley Rear have excelled on this hairpin tonight, haven't they? Their times haven't actually shown. Oh, no, they have actually, sorry, ignore me. It's that Kyle Adam and Stephen Brown have got a time for stage 9 here. Nicely done. We're getting to the part of the field where everyone's throwing caution to the wind, and they've still got a long night of rallying ahead of them. After here, the equivalent of a third of a normal national rally in length to go before they can park the car up for the night. Russell Adam and Kev Wilson again doing a good job through here. Andy Brinkley, Helena Mail, there's a crew that we will expect some tyre smoke from here at the hairpin. They get as sideways as they can, even on a normal bit of stage, let alone a hairpin like this, which is a red rag to a bull for somebody in a rear-wheel drive. BMW, there is Kev Bulver. Julia Perry lighting us up in the sunbeam. Finally got the car running, but it sounds like he's maybe broken something there. Oh, that's absolutely gutting. Having got the car running, they've struggled to get coils for the poor Sunbeam. Newly built car that Kev's been working on for years, and Julia gave him a big kick up the butt to get finished so they could go out rallying in it this year. Julia sat out the Manx National last year. A normal historic driver, Shane Gamble in the Mini, is out this year, was out last year as well. But Julia, really proud to be in that Sunbeam with Kev. Sounds like they've got a problem getting it into gear after getting it wrong on the hairpin there. Let's hope they can get something sorted. The marshal just offering a little bit of assistance. They've just rolled the car back. Julia's experience, they're just getting Kev to roll back so that they're not in the firing line of anybody coming around that hairpin a little bit too leery. If there's maybe a clutch issue, see the car struggling to get into gear. And Caitlin was looking forward to seeing them through as well. At least you've seen them through now, I suppose. Ian Pritchard, Dylan Sean Richards again excelling themselves through here. The sunbeam is off, the lights are off, and it looks like that is game over on what has been a pretty frustrating debut weekend for Kev in that nicely built Honda S2000 engined Talbot Sunbeam. The fans cheering at the sight of that little Civic of Edward Collins, Thomas Collins, local pair here on the Manx. Getting it all wrong. But who cares? Because they chucked it in. And that was the name of the game. That's what we said at the early part of the night, wasn't it? No judgments. Not an easy thing to get right. It's a daunting thing to do, particularly if you're not used to doing it as well. So, I'm gutted for Kev and Julia, as I'm gutted for Brad and Jamie Vaughan as well. Teething problems and a new build on a big rally like the Isle of Man, it's always going to bite you. Bit of a delay at the start again there. Not sure what's gone on. Ryan Loughran, Rob Fagg still leading the way overall with that fastest stage time through the penultimate stage of the day. Cal McCarthy, Eric Calnan, second fastest through there to remind you for the Blackpool stage, and Niall McConaughey and Keelan McKenna at top three, showing why they are top three as Andrew Bush and Geraldine McBride neatly pirouette that Chevette through the stage here. That is a glorious sounding car, and it's a beautifully prepared car as well, up close. Works spec, I seem to remember. They came into here 13th in class, 79th overall in the Chevette. Dewey Hughes doing a good job, nice, neat and tidy in the little Peugeot 205 there. Just outside the top 10 in his class coming into this one. 83rd overall, class 6, hotly contested here at the Manx National Rally. Andy and Kim Gray complete their second run, and the hairpin head out to the coast. The sunset is all but set now. The fire in the sky has been extinguished, but it will still look lovely out there on the coastal road at Port Erin with the spotlights picking out the scenery. And Jevons in the Fiesta R2 has been going well here today. Ladies co-driver champion Max Kelly alongside. Eighth in the class at this stage. 87th overall on an entry of 170 cars. Discretion, the better part of valor again for the second run through after they maybe got things a little wrong the first time, but that's fine. Gareth Price, Liam Evans in the BMW Compact. To remind you, we're going to be live in the Baldwin stage tomorrow morning. In fact, we're going to be live for both runnings of that stage, which includes the iconic Brandywell Cottage and Druidale sections of stage. And we will be at Brandywell for your morning stage, 5 to 10 in the morning. It's an early start for us to make sure we're there, so no excuses for you. Join us for breakfast in the morning. And then again, after lunch, about 1:30, Colin Davies, Chris Evans there. A top 10 position in class beckons for them overnight. Going into day 2 of the Manx National Rally. Don't forget, it is Fan Cam Friday if you are here on the Isle of Man. The numbers are pinned at the top of our social media on Special Stage. You can win Rallying His Life vouchers to spend at the shop. Well, It's looking like a car park there, isn't it? Anthony Elks and Alex Lewis. Very optimistic at getting that course to stop there. Absolutely threw that car into the hairpin here. Wonder if Bolver has had a bit more impetus to get that sunbeam fired up and get out of the way of that one. Kaylin Bolverday says, FFS, Dad. I'll let you work the acronym out. Broke down in a good spot, right in front of the cameras. Yeah, perfect. But at least they got to the cameras. Hey, Keith Anglesey enjoying the coverage. Thanks for joining us, Keith. Thank you, Simon, for sending that link. I did see it drop through. I'll have a look after this. Lee Davison-Bush enjoyed watching the coverage and enjoyed watching that Chevette through. And is enjoying the vino. You enjoyed the vino. You have a good night of it. Pleased to be providing the entertainment for you. Charlotte's gutted for them as well, for Kev and Julia, that is. Marty Booth is watching all the action on the top prom. What a stage, he says. Yeah, what a stage indeed. So you're over there by the seafront then, aren't you? It's a lovely place to be, that. Anthony Johnson says Mark II's rule the old hairpins. They've done a good job of it, haven't they? It's not all the car, though, just so you know. Doug Small says, great coverage, class way to spend a Friday night. I agree. The only thing we can't bring you is the smell of burning tyres. And I tell you what, as we get further down the order, the tyre burning is on the up. I think the tyre quota is going up as we get further down the field, and the markings on the road are barely visible now. Owl Parry, Catherine Jones. That thrum of a flat four boxer engine in a Subaru with the bonnet pods picking out the lights and the glass on the front of the Heritage Centre as they head around the hairpin there. Classic scenes. Something about a GC8 Impreza, isn't there? Especially as the lights dim and the spot lamp pods are bolted onto the bumper and the bonnet. Jessica Pendry says, Julie Harris, have they gone through? Who are we looking for? Give me a clue. Wendy Horn, enjoying the coverage. Brilliant entertainment on our doorstep, she says. That's what we like to see, the locals enjoying the action. Graham Muter, Mark Mason, doing a good job. Third in class in the Historic Cup as well, as things stand 89th overall going into the penultimate stage, the blackboard stage, before we head to the airy stage, the final miles of the day. And Gareth Wynne-Jones, Ryan Griffiths have had a good day out there on the stages today as well. There's no getting that sunbeam going. I think Kev has given up trying, I'm afraid to say. Dilwyn Rees says, nothing better than a pull on the bar. Craig Lee, Pendry and Fred Harris haven't been through yet. No, we haven't seen them through. They'll be along shortly. Claire Allwood is cheering on Martin Allwood and Martin Williams tonight. Those street lamps are not helping with picking up the numbers on the car, though. Stephen Pritchard, Dan Evans have done a good job so far in the little Nova, and there is David Crane Sounds brilliant, doesn't it? That Escort Cosworth just runs so smoothly. It's been a picture of reliability. I don't want to give it commentator's curse, but it really has been a fabulous car over the years, competing here in Manx National rallies. Yeah, Steve Lawrence, Terry Martin enjoying throwing that little Honda Civic around, aren't they? Michael Taylor and Andrew Holmes make it through for the second time around the hairpin, and we will very soon have, just checking the start times, the final stage, the Airy stage, due to start in just under 10 minutes time. We are a little bit spot lamps in our eyes. We are a little bit behind time, so I expect about maybe 15-20 minutes before they start that stage. There you are, Stephen Harvey, Graham Wild. Who was looking for them? Well, they've made their entrance now, haven't they? David Pedley, Grace Pedley alongside. Took fourth in class on last year's Manx National. In the top three in their class. Not here in 2025, so chance for them to have a big push. Who was it was asking for Stephen Harvey? J.R. Owen says shout out to the Clan Banjo boys. Enjoying the coverage. We're enjoying having you along with us as well. Zach Hancock says, waiting for car 162. Sam Scarlett, younger brother of mine, doing his first ever rally, hopefully giving the Mini a good pedal since the last time it was pedalled properly 14 years ago when he used it last. Fabulous, looking out for that one as well. Stuart Hassel watching from home, wishing he was here. Neil Roston's watching with a nice cold one and enjoying the coverage. Thanks for joining us, Neil, and thanks for making a night of it as well. I like that you guys are sitting there with a beer at home and enjoying making a bit of a party out of this, actually. Edward Collins, Thomas Collins alongside, make it through for the second time. A bit of a gap, wasn't there, between them coming through the first time, and not sure what the queuing system's like up there, but so Chris Squires and Sean Hughes couldn't quite make out the number. They never got blinded by the spot lamps there. You get to this point of the night, and it's an occupational hazard not being able to read the numbers on the side of the cars. Jacob Harvey says, yep, Dad's a nutter. He is, of course, talking about Stephen Harvey, and we really did make a meal of that one, but it was great fun, wasn't it? Jackie Rain, 148 in the KA. Nope, not been through yet, but I've got a great picture I took of them earlier on the stage. The car looked great. Stephen Clare's enjoying the coverage, looking forward to seeing his brother come through in the Hornet, Ian Clare. Yep, it was great to see them through early. They got a big cheer from the crowd as well, who really do enjoy the classic minis. And they're well and truly clubbing the Wolseley Hornet in as a classic mini here. Car 112, John Brazier, Damien Bird hasn't completed any of the stages in this second leg yet, for those asking, so not sure what's going on there. Not showing on the retirements yet. That's car 112, hasn't been through yet. And Jevons, Max Kelly make it 2 out of 2 round the hairpin, nice, neat and tidy. No unnecessary partying in the Fiesta R2, just get it round. It's getting dark and getting more difficult to judge the curbs, of course. Larry Carter's tuned in whilst at the International Northwest 200. Hope you're having fun with the bike racing, Larry. You'll be here, no doubt, in a few weeks for the Manx. The spectators absolutely love it when someone stalls. Michael McKenna and Phil Sandham stall it in the Astra, and the spectators all cheer from the hairpin. They did a good job of getting the car around the hairpin, didn't they? It's about chucking it in. I've been neglecting you guys on YouTube, so I'm going to give you a little bit of love now. I'm going to join you for the comments on the live stream. Kieran Madrill says his home time rally missed the start due to having to go to work, but can still hear them flying around past the roundabout near the primary school. Do you know, one of my fondest memories of doing this job is probably, was it 15, 16 years ago when we interviewed the school kids, sat on the wall with the teachers at the Port Erin primary school on the front there, and yeah, fond memories of that. We got fish and chips at the fish and chip shop just opposite there actually earlier, and we were talking about those memories. And in fact, I have managed to interview producer Wayne for the Rally Club podcast, so we talked about some of those memories there. Anthony Elks is just chucking that Corsa around, isn't he? I have this vision of him just giggling away in there like a naughty little schoolboy. Hello to Bob Wiggins. Car 113, Jake Clay, will be through soon for those asking. Haven't been through yet, you haven't missed them. Jenny Taylor says nothing beats the Isle of Man for exciting motorsport. I would agree there. This is one of the rallies of the year, and it's such a privilege to be here, to be able to tell the story and bring you this entertainment on a Friday evening. I don't think there's anything better to do on a Friday night than watch rally cars doing big skids in the town centre in front of the fans, is there? Right on cue. Some big skids for you there. Danny Truan's watching this live coverage and watching the cars coming past his house in Castletown. Can't beat it. Shame there's not a stage there in Castletown. Lloyd Motorsport says, is the Talbot Samba still going? As far as we know, yes. We haven't seen it yet, but we will be, as you will be, looking out for it and enjoying watching that come through, of course. First of the Avengers there. That Mivo and Barry Green, I think, wasn't it, in the yellow Avenger? Very entertaining pair. Miv actually was watching the live coverage earlier and said, I'll see you when I get there later. Been a long night for these guys, and it's going to be an even longer night because they've got 2 more stages to go, but I had better just switch off from the skids and just bring you some of the results, actually. It's been a grueling day for some of the cars. These cars not used to doing 130 stage miles, and you know, you look at the mileage of today, and it was 60 stage miles today, which 76 stage miles tomorrow, making up that 130 total. But 60 stage miles is a national rally and a half. In many senses, so these cars have had to be additionally prepared, and some of them won't have been because they're just not used to doing this kind of mileage. So fair play to those teams and crews who are preparing their own cars, of course. It's meant to be a challenge. It always was, and it always will be. Graham Muter, Mark Mason, neat job from them. We should have the first few times through very shortly from the final stage. The cars, I don't know if you can check the tracker, producer Wayne. Are they on to the final stage yet? Neat and tidy, no unnecessary risks for Roger Kennedy, Wendy Blackledge in the 306 there. Yep, so times will be coming through from that final stage, the Airy stage, to round off day one of the Manx National Rally in just a few moments' time. So, as I hoped, we will have that for you. Arwell Parry, Catherine Price. I think I called Catherine Jones, didn't I, through the first run, actually. So a memory stirs. Great to see the Welsh Subaru pair through the stage, though. It's half the battle. Was it Rally North Wales where we didn't even see them past the camera the first time? So, yeah, good to see. The photo earlier of the orange Escort wing, which I was holding, I do have to point out, for those of you who thought I'd actually taken the wing home, one, I'm flying, and they won't let me on the plane with that. And two, as we see the Peugeot doing a nice little tripod around the hairpin there too, I got a message from my wife saying, no. Not a chance, she said. So no, I did make sure that the team got it back. Oh, it was the half shaft on the Sunbeam. Julia Perry just appealing in the championship group for a narrow Atlas axle Group 1 half shaft. So it was chucking it into the hairpin that possibly finished that off, but at least Kev got his moment on the live camera, didn't he? Laura Marshall looking for a crank sensor for an N12 Subaru. Other models will fit, apparently. Plenty of crews looking for oily bits. Gary Yeomans looking for a bottom alternator bracket for an ST170 or a black top Z-Tech. Plenty of crews on the island who run these cars. It's just whether or not any of them are available and have those parts ready to go, isn't it? But a bit of rally spirit overnight and a few appeals on social media, and I'm sure we'll get some of these cars back running again. Let's have a final round of where are you watching from and what have you enjoyed on the live coverage so far then, if I join you guys on the live coverage again here. Good viewing figures today. You guys have really joined us in force, which we're delighted with. Larry Carter vividly remembers doing that stage with Paul Bird in the Hyundai. Blimey, that was some time ago. A bit narrower on the prom before going up the hill, it is. Kerry Scale, were they running the stage around the monument in Castletown again? No, they haven't done that for probably 15 years since we last saw the monument at Castletown. Of course, yeah, it's all redeveloped, isn't it? Also, that was the Manx International. I don't think they ran the Castletown Monument stage on the National. If they did, it was a fair bit before my time. So no, unfortunately not. Trina Dunn says, watching now, we've finally arrived at Goodwood. Leston Williams, who was in with Arwell Parry, of course, last time on the Manx. Get the names right, but yeah, I know. It's getting late. It's been a long day. Reese Allen, Barker Henson asks if Kyle Casement has been through in the ever-entertaining Citroen C2 yet. No, don't think so. No, he hasn't. While I've been talking, he might have snuck through, but I don't think so, no. I can check for you, actually. Just also keeping half an eye on the times coming through from the final stage from the leading crews, who will be through very shortly. Guess there's time in the night when you can't really see the numbers on the doors and the windows anymore, and you try and be poetic instead of accurate. Hopefully, somewhere between the two, I've managed for you. That Mark III Astra does look awesome. Kyle Casement actually hasn't been out for the stages after the service break, so I don't know if he's got a problem, but we haven't seen him out in stage 6, so I'm going to say, I don't want to jinx anything, but if we haven't seen him by now, I'll have a look. Hang on. In the retirements list, Peter Harris and Nigel Morris tired on stage 7, the first running through here. Richard Hill, Patrick Cooper retired the stage before this, stage 6. George Thomas, Mark Ammons are out. Kyle Casement, Martin Burns, they did retire, yeah. And that final stage at service, so not going to see that. I mean, that was an exciting battle with the C2 R2s earlier, wasn't it? Will Onions, Dave Williams in the BMW gearbox failure, retired at service. It's Mark and Joe Young in the 205. Rory and Paul McCann retired at service as well. Quite a few retirements after that service halt. Brad Cole, Jamie Vaughan we know about. Osamu Sumida, Kohai Kusaka in the Mini retired on stage 3 after we saw them earlier. End off Makepeace, Rob Wheeler are out. Joe Merrills and Mark Brew in the yellow Civic had a crash. Didn't know about that one, don't know where that happened actually. Missed that one. Conor Bailey-Brighton, Connor Farmer, tired with a crash in stage 2 as well, of course. Martin Jones, Steve Luton, we've not seen them out, of course, retired in stage 2 as well. You know about Steve Allman-Smith, Adam Yates. Alan Wellesby, Dan Parsons didn't even get to the stage before retiring. And Gary Leeson and Sarah Cool, non-starter for them. Same for Nathan Bolton and Kirsty Duke. So that's why you haven't seen Kyle Casement. David Robertson says Stuart McNee could have been us maybe next year. Well, if we can inspire to get back out, why not, eh? It's stage 10 running, says William McKenzie. As far as we know, yeah, no reason for it not to, as far as I'm aware. Craig Evans is sat at home with a beer. Shame not to be marshalling this year because of work. Fair play for marshalling anyway. Even if he can't get out for every event, we appreciate it. Without our treasured Orange Army, we wouldn't be doing this. You saw Carl Wagstaff, Mark Wagstaff through for their final run through this Port Erin stage in the little K11 Micra. They've been doing a good job today. Second in the class from 92nd overall at this stage in the little 1400 Micra, or 1300 Micra as it will be. Should be due those times through from the final stage of the day any minute, so we'll keep an eye on that because the crews are in the stage. I'm not looked on the tracker to see how far they are off the end, but it was a fairly long final stage, and that, I tell you what, was absolutely brilliant. Nicely done from Miv Owen and Barry Green, sliding that Avenger around. They do look nice to slide around, do Avengers. Never, I know I have driven one. I've driven a Chrysler Avenger actually, not in anger, but lovely cars. And speaking of Avengers, and they shall all appear. It was Cliff Evans and Andy Darlington in theirs. Nicely done. Tell you what, it's a class field this, because we're down at what, car 140 something, and we're still getting big skids and perfectly executed hairpins here. There's a bit of a dip and a bit of a compression as the cars come onto the seafront road. Just around the corner, every now and again I hear a crunch where the front spoilers or the sump guards are bottoming out, and I keep thinking people have gone off. I'm pleased to then hear the sound of an engine and realise that indeed that is not the case. Stuart McNee's watching in Dunoon, in the Argyle. The championship will be there very soon. With the Jim Clark up next for our first trip to Scotland in a couple of weeks' time. And after that, we're heading to the Scottish Peninsula. We'll be with you for that one, 19th and the 20th of June. I'll actually not be there. Phil Bramwell will be stepping in on live commentary duty for that one. My younger two boys are in Les Mis musical, so I'm on dad duty, can't possibly miss that. Some things are more important than rallying, believe it or not. Tour of Epping after that, 25th to the 26th of July. And then we're over to Northern Ireland for the Down Rally on the 22nd of August. Looking forward to that one. And the Hills 4 Stages comes your way as the final round of the season on the 19th and 20th of September. And it's new home of Shrewsbury. That's going to be an interesting one. Looking forward to that and showing some support to the local council there, who've really stolen an opportunity to get some real investment in. And so well they should as well. Roger Kennedy, Wendy Blackledge, getting around the hairpin for the second time, neat and tidy in the very much production spec Peugeot 306. They have looked an accomplished bunch tonight, haven't they? Do like a tripoding Peugeot 106. think, I'll stand corrected quite happily, as I always do, but I think that Peugeot Peter Harrison and Nigel Morris's is a proper ex-Cup car as well. It should be BKV on the registration if it is. I can't remember what's on the registration of it, I'll be honest. Should have another 20 minutes or so of cars through here, which means that we should, in theory, be able to bring you the final overnight times. Someone asked me earlier, has Danny Cowell been through yet in the Talbot Samba? Well, he has now, and he announced his arrival for you as well. Loves throwing that little Talbot Samba around, and does the same with the wrecking car. As I mentioned in the live coverage of stage 2, it was parked in Hutchinson Square earlier, where the hotel is. I'll see quite how close to the end of the final stage the leading crews are, but they can't be far off now. Okay, no live times for the final stage then. Just yet, anyway. Oh, we have, sorry. Brian Loughran and Rob Fagg have put a time in through that final stage. The only one so far, 6:38.2. They are home and dry for the night, and I'm fairly confident in saying they will be leading into day 2 of the Manx National Rally as well. There we go, the time's now coming through. Second fastest through there, Niall McConaughey, Kyler McKenna. Yeah, there's a theme developing here, isn't there? Carl McCarthy, Eric Cownan continuing that theme as well. They have really come on strong today. Two second fastest times through Port Erin and third fastest on the final stage. So far, that is. Still some times that could change that. David Wright, Jane Nichol, fourth fastest to end the day. If that... Yeah, at the moment, leaving them fourth overall. Hugh Hunter, Andy Marchbank. Gutted that we haven't got them in the championship for the fight, because they've really got their confidence back here. 3 years ago, Hugh had a huge accident here on the Isle of Man and was hospitalised and knocked his confidence a bit. Wasn't even sure that he would come back out after that, and the pace from that pair this weekend has shown that they are right there, around the fourth, fifth fastest time mark right the way through the day, apart from a couple of stages. But the real story of the day really has been, as far as the championship is concerned, that battle between Niall McConaughey, Kyler McKenna, David Wright, Jane Nichol, and Jason Pritchard, Phil Clark, who are yet to put their time in for that 10th stage of the day. But despite a lack of seat time, and there comes the time for Jason Pritchard, Phil Clark, they have usurped David Wright, Jane Nichol to take fourth at fastest and take nearly 4 seconds out of the Fiesta pair. And that, in fact, will be quite decisive for Pritchard and Clark. They'll go into tomorrow 6th overall in a really good spot for chasing. They've got the confidence, got the rhythm, a bit of seat time in the car to get them ready for a big push. I spoke too soon. I said that Andy Brinkley and Helder Mail would leave some nice 11s for us on the asphalt. In fact, they were nice and neat and tidy around there. He just didn't fancy it, did he? It is dark, to be fair. It's the street lamps are not doing an awful good job at picking out the curbs that you want to avoid, so I can see why you'd maybe get in there and think better of it. Maybe he'll have a good go on the second run through. Do you know, it might be the other way around. Normally, co-drivers are sharpening the pencil, ready to stab you in the leg for going too leery. Perhaps Helena will be stabbing Andy in the leg, telling him to grab the handbrake next time around. Who knows? won't have lost any time doing it that way, really, anyway, so. And that is why they're here, of course. Or is it? Are they just here for skids? Possibly. So Ryan Locker and Rob Fagg will be leading overnight on the overall rally, but as far as the Protyre Motorsport UK Asphalt Rally Championship crews are concerned, Niall McConigal has really put in some quite impressive times, you know. So your Protyre Motorsport UK Asphalt Rally Championship top 3 overnight will be Niall McConigal, Kyler McKenna in the Volkswagen Polo GTI R5, David Wright, Jay Nicol in the Fiesta Rally 2, and then Jason Pritchard and Phil Clark, who will be delighted to be 3rd place in the championship cruise overnight, I am sure. Gordon Morrison, Ian Parker have stolen a bit of a march as far as the 2-wheel drive battle is concerned. Just let me check my working out on that one before we go any further. Yeah, it looks like they have, actually. Lee Edwards, Sam Spencer dropping back a bit to be sitting just outside the top 10. 13th overall overnight, although we haven't got a time through for the last stage, have we? Thinking about it. No, we have got the times through for them, yeah. It's been a fast day for our 2-wheel drive crews here in the championship, with Gordon, Montana, Morrison take the leading 2-wheel drive spot overnight. Leading class 3 and the 2-wheel drive crews from Lee Edwards and Sam Spencer. It will be Kyle Adam and Stephen Brown, 3rd place in the 2-wheel drive crews overnight, actually. Will Rollins, Emir Hall are not far behind, though. Likewise, Ben and Stephen Smith in the 2 historic cars. But it is Stefan Davies leading the historic cup crews here. They'll go into the overnight hole, 17th overall. And they will be 2nd in the class, of course, on the overall leaderboard, because Martin McCormack and Barney Mitchell, not registered for championship points, are in 7th on the overall leaderboard. But the all-important championship points battle is being led by Stefan and Mr. Gilby. To remind you, that is the order in which they came into this 2nd round of the championship. 1st in the historic cup for Stefan, 2nd for Will. That's the way they'll end the night. There you go, for those of you waiting for Jake Clegg and Gavin Clay to come through. The little 1400 Corsa is round the hairpin. It stood on the horn at the start there. I wonder if Gavin was just getting a little too excited at the thought of doing that hairpin. Still a few spectators watching the final bits of action here in the town, and I'm sure tomorrow, especially with the weather now looking pretty pleasant, looks like we'd have rain earlier in the week, but as I said before, weather forecasters don't seem to be weather forecasters anymore. Don't seem to know what they're doing. The weather forecast has changed and it's now going to be nice tomorrow. So I think the spectators will be out in force, and That'll add to the atmosphere and the excitement out there in the stages. Cliff Evans and Andy Darlington have gone through for the second time in their Avenger. We still await our historic minis through this town centre stage. The sound of a straight cut mini gearbox and RC40 exhaust through the town centre. Something I'm looking forward to. One of those events where we do get plenty of minis still competing, including our Japanese friends who join us over here. Only Shinobu Kitani, Hiroko Kitani still running actually. We lost Osamu Sumida and Kohei Kusaka earlier in the day. They retired just after they passed us in that second stage. I'm sad to say, but you never know, it might be an issue they can solve overnight. We might see them back out, but there. Shane Gamble. Michael Deal alongside. Shane Gamble came into this 9th in that class. As far as our championship crews are concerned, I'm just having to flick between here. Yeah, he'll be 4th in the Historic Cup so far, I think, on the I'm to piece it together as I go. He came here 5th in the Historic Cup standings in the championship, did Shane. Michael Deal alongside. Julia Perry, his regular co-driver, in with Kev Bolver, her other half, in that Talbot Sunbeam with its Honda engine, which we're hoping to see back in action tomorrow if they can find a stub axle for that Atlas axle, which they've appealed for. Yeah, that's how to do it. Aidan O'Neill, Ryan O'Neill alongside. They were chucking that micro around on the stage earlier, weren't they, in our coverage of stage 2 this morning. Still doing much the same. You love to see it. That's what you're here for, right? If you missed any of the action from stage 2 earlier, I firmly recommend, if you're not done yet, when this coverage of the 2 Port Erin stages here finishes, I firmly recommend you dive in there and have a look. There's some moments you need to see in there. Joe Merrill's was a big one, wasn't it, in the yellow Civic? Yeah, there were some really good moments. Still the spectators cheer. There might not be as many of them, but as soon as the car stalls, they cheer. I've done that schoolboy error thing of not going for a wee before it'll set off, and I'm hopping from leg to leg here. There's Danny Cowell in the Samba. Nice pop of flames as it goes into the 90 left there, past the library, and reflected in the glass panes on the front of the Heritage Centre here in Port Erin. Goodness me, have we got some action for you tomorrow. 5 to 10. You can join us for the first of the stages. It was Stephen Higgins and Helen Hall, wasn't it? couldn't quite see the number, and one mini looks quite the same as another one when they're black and white and this time of night. I think it was Stephen Higgins, and Helen Hall came into this just behind Shane Gamble. That is not a healthy sounding Subaru, is it? The unmistakable sound of an historic Mini. That was Sam Scarlett and Louise Thomas. Sam doing his very first rally in that little Mini. And doing a good job as well, it's got to be said. Mike Pugsley, Mark Clatworthy joined us in the championship this year in their RS2000 Mark 1 Escort. I think it's Olympic blue. From what little I could see picked out in the darkness here. I know a few of you were waiting for Sam Scarlett to come through there in the little Mini, not least his brother who drove it 14 years ago and, in his own words, drove it extremely well. We'll let you off a bit of self-praise, particularly as it's been a while. Lee Jenkins says, good luck to the pit stop rally crew in their Mark II Escort. She's a bloody beautiful machine, he says. Because they're the Milcreasts in their MGB. Lovely looking car. Now, I really like to see a classic MG on the stages here. It looked right earlier. Ken Ingram is enjoying the coverage from his armchair in Harlech. Lewis Sims says he's getting 4G from England and he didn't expect us to still be live. Fair play, gents. A proper shift. There we go. Andy Brinkley, Helena Mail. Happy around the hairpin that time. He chucked it in. Lewis, we're absolutely gutted for you and Hugh James in that glorious Fiat 131. We look forward to seeing you on the Jim Clark in a couple of weeks' time. Hello to the Rally Boys channel watching over in Donegal. Rob Richards, Teresa Butler there in the Peugeot 106. The 106 Rally. Lee McKinley says, watching from the living room just up from you. That'll be the one just above us then, where all the noise has been coming from, probably. Fair play if you're up there. You've been making a lot of noise tonight. We've loved it, especially every time the car stalled and you've cheered. There's a bit of encouragement. Wow. That was a fair old throw into the hairpin there with the Mini, wasn't it? Nicely done. Didn't quite catch the number, or did I? I think that was Shinobu Kitani, actually, I think, in the Japanese historic Mini. And I think that was Paul Clayton and Vera Johnson. It's getting very hard to see with these numbers in the dark. It's actually easier to see when the cars come back through on the slightly delayed coverage which you guys are watching, so I can, if I miss it, I can just catch it on the coverage and then get annoyed with myself when I've got it wrong. Ian Robertson, Andy Scott in the lovely Avenger there. Stephen Hall's watching from Carmarthen in South Wales. Good to have you with us. David Wynne Shakespeare's watching in the Miller and Carter Steakhouse in Glasgow. Hope you've got us turned up really loud. I love this one. Producer Wayne's going to smile at this. Rob Newton went to bed watching stage 2, and we're still going in the morning here in Melbourne in Australia. So he's woken up. He's gone to sleep with us and he's woken up with us. Only a few select people get to do that, right, Producer Wayne? And Rob Newton is now one of them in a roundabout way. Scrutman Brown is watching from Pink Panther Land in Durham. Is that where the Pink Panther's from? Whoa, you need to be stopping before then. Fair play. Jeffrey Sim is chucking that little Suzuki Swift around. Didn't quite get the chance to do the handbrake down here at the hairpin because he overcooked it, so he decided to do it on 90 left instead. And did his hairpin up there. Why not? I'm not sure if that was the marshals saying, whoa, or it was the spectators enjoying themselves, but either way, there was a little ripple of applause up there for them, wasn't there? Stephen Johnson, Stephen Butler doing a neat job in the Clio 182 there. Certainly neater than the Suzuki Swift, but not quite as entertaining. They'll be giggling about that, you know, all the way around this stage and as we go into the next one as well. Greg Pye, Ken Cotty alongside was 6th in class on last year's Manx National. Currently 23rd in class, 126th overall, but given the size of the entry this year, might account for some of it. There's the Clagues again in the Corsa. Zach Hancock asking how long is it for cars to come and do their second run? Oh, Special Stage has already replied to that one. Was that you, Wayne? Around 11 minutes later for their second pass. Some seem a little longer though, weirdly. Malcolm Williams is watching from Hamilton in New Zealand. Great to have you with us. Elwin Pritchard says, have a pint for me. Should be in the Isle of Man with Thomas. Yeah, he should. There's the little Ford KA we were talking about earlier on. Rob Iverson, Chris Chapman. They've done pretty well today. 15th in class, 137th overall. It's a Sport KA, so it's the 1.6 Duratec in that car. And there's Ian Clare in the lovely little Wolseley Hornet. Struggling to get it in gear there. Richard May alongside. They didn't finish last year. Catherine Price was in that car last year, and it was Lucy Wilding, I think, wasn't it, the year before that? I think it was a DNF for the Hornet the year before as well. But it's a lovely little car to see out. Paul Taylor's watching from the Forest of Dean and wishing he was here. Yeah, we wish you were here as well. Quick check-in on the YouTube live stream. Ian Parks waiting for the Saab to come through. Yeah, bit of a quirk here. There's Shane Gamble. There's Julia Perry, his regular co-driver, watches on from the Sunbeam, retired here in the stage. Ian Park's waiting for the Saab. It's a quirk of the Isle of Man that the final car is a competing car to finish the cruise. So we'll see that Saab 99 through, and it's a lovely Stig Blomqvist replica car. And we probably will see it through, actually. We did earlier. Bit of a chat going on about grassroots motorsport and how much people have spent on rally cars in the comments on the YouTube live stream, which I really love. Strum and Climb says, whoever that is, names on YouTube. Some of these older light hatchbacks are still great rally cars on a budget, taking part, having fun, finishing is all part of the rally, and chucking it into the hairpin. Let's not forget that. That's all part of it as well. Lloyd Motorsport agrees. Boy Saxo, a road rally car from Real in Wales for 650 quid. Did 3 years on the lanes before moving to stage events. Gary Kling says, love the event, sat watching with Drew Peacock in the bath. Have fun, guys. Susan Smiles always enjoys watching from the central coast of California, but it's just as beautiful as the south coast of the Isle of Man, if not a little warmer right now. Love so minis. We love having you with us. The Baldwin stage looks huge, says Strum and Climb. Might go and watch it tomorrow. Yeah, it'd be good to see you there. Say hello if you see us. Stephen Higgins there. Been throwing that little mini around, hasn't he? Merv has enjoyed the coverage today. We've enjoyed having you with us. Mid in 1955 says, in bed with the snooker on the TV and the rally on the laptop. Superb. Yeah, I mean, if it was just the snooker, you'd fall asleep by now, wouldn't you? Was it Mark Higgins that did the super fast lap of the T-Course in the Subaru? It was. And I was running Cadwell Park as circuit manager back in those days, and he actually came with Protyre to do a final test before they did that lap at Cadwell. And that was quite the day. Yeah, that was, looking back, that was one of my favourite moments of running the circuit. It was on a down day. There was nothing else going on. We had to keep it very quiet, very hush-hush. And Higgins turned up and just blatted this Protyre Subaru around the circuit all day. Changing the setup, trying different tyres. Yeah. A lot of fun indeed. Kelly McCree was enjoying watching Roger and Wendy through in the Peugeot 306 a little earlier. Owen Thomas has mentioned something that I was going to mention earlier. With what happened today, I was being cautious about when to mention it. But he's watching in front of a log fire in Wales. Last time he was here, he was servicing for Di Roberts. He loved that place. Now, this was Di Roberts' last rally, and I remember catching up with Di here, and he retired in the Peugeot 205, didn't he? And he contacted me after the Manx, and he said to me, Paul, do me a favour, boy. There's a lad in Grimsby, not far from you, who's got a box full of Peugeot 205 GTI engine parts. And I dropped them off for Di on the morning of the Jim Clark in the service area. But yeah, quite poignant that this was the last rally he did in that 205. And you're right, Owen, he did love this place. And we loved having him here, didn't we? Bob Wiggins asking why, unlike 2024, they haven't used the grandstand as the rally base. Well, it was getting a little too full, and with an entry of 170 cars, it's fair to say they would not have fitted everything into the grandstand. It was already getting quite full up there, even with the overflow parts of the car park as well. They have had to keep Rally HQ there because, as part of the safety advisory group, the Chief of Police insists that the Rally HQ is within walking distance of the police station in Douglas. But the new promoters of the TT are not as keen on the rally sharing the billing there at the grandstand. Sorry, just conferring there on the plans for what we do. There is a bit of a delay in the stage, a few cars left in the stage, but I think we're going to struggle to bring you any more once things get going. So what we will do is just round off where we stand overnight after 10 stages and 60 miles here on the Manx National Rally before we go again in the morning. Ryan Loughran, Rob Fagg have had a fast day, a supremely fast day. They lead by 26.9 seconds overall, but not registered for points. The all-important Protyre Motorsport UK Asphalt Rally Championship points leader overnight. It's Niall McConigal, Kyla McKenna in the Volkswagen Polo GTI R5. And I tell you what, they will be delighted to be leading the points overnight. Carl McCarthy, Eric Calnan behind them in the Citroen C3 Rally 2, but registered for points, the second one is David Wright and Jane Nicol in the Ford Fiesta Rally 2. A fast day from them to be third in the points. Probably wishing they were registered. Hugh Hunter, Andy Marchbank in fifth overall, splitting the second and third Protyre crews. Jason Pritchard, Phil Clark, the third of our Protyre crews, rounding off the top three overnight. Gordon, Montana, Morrison, Ian, Parker have overhauled the supremely impressive, once again, Lee Edwards and Sam Spencer, after they've had an issue in the last couple of stages tonight, to lead the way in the two-wheel drives overnight. Stefan Davies leading the historic Cup Cruise from Will Rowlands and Emir Hall. It has been a grueling, it has been a challenging, it's been a spectacular and an exciting day on the stages here on the Isle of Man. We've loved every minute of it, but our thoughts, of course, today are with Daryl Taylor, who after a medical incident passed away this morning in stage 1. And as his family have asked for privacy, we'll respect that, but the tributes will be flowing in the days to come, I am sure. Our thoughts are with all of you at this difficult time right now. Thank you for tuning in for day 1 of the Manx National Rally here in the Protyre Motorsport UK Asphalt Rally Championship.